Okay, Viva question. Why did Reconstruction go so poorly or badly? We tend to think of the Civil War as a great idea to free the slaves, but in fact, it was a far less improvement than that. Reconstruction failed to the government's lack of coherent strategy, which created a power vacuum in the former Confederacy. My 3 points are: first, the fog of war; secondly, no unified political leaders; and three, ex-Confederate terrorists. Those are all causes of the Civil War and Reconfederation, and how our government was not ready or prepared for this. The chaos at the end of the Civil War led the Union to mismanage the early phases of Reconstruction. The Civil War was one of the first modern wars having heavy artillery, trenches, and new technology. This led to more casualties and more destruction to happen. General William Sherman said, "War is cruelty. There is no use trying to reform it. The crueler it is, the sooner it will be over." He put his ideas into action during the March of the Sea campaign. During this march, Sherman ordered his men to destroy anything in their path, all throughout Georgia. On this march, his forces followed the scorched earth policy, destroying military targets as well as industry, infrastructure, and civilian property. This broke the back of the Confederacy, eventually leading to their surrender. So this really, Georgia was a big home, and General Sherman's march lasted from Georgia to basically the tip of Florida. So it was all throughout. It covered a whole lot of square mileage, and they really did destroy everything, killed a lot of Confederates, and it was very, very gruesome and terrible thing. But in his mind, he thought it was good because if the war ended quicker, that's good because there's less death, even though you're killing everyone. However, Sherman did not get legal approval, and Andrew Jackson himself later rescinded the order and removed lands from the former slaves who had begun farming them. The chaos of these evictions and land transfers further embittered former Confederates and slaves who were now penniless by government ineptitude. So Andrew Jackson basically got rid of all these homes after the Sherman March, so they kind of destroyed the Confederates twice, and this very, very much led to not liking the Union, because if all these black slaves and Confederates have no homes, I wouldn't want to live in a world where my government is taking away my home. So this definitely led to the two parties really, clashing even more even after the war. Okay, now my second argument is internal conflict in the U.S. government. This led to major political changes over the course of Reconstruction. Abraham Lincoln to reunite the country after the war by electing a Southern Democrat as his vice president. This didn't help the country after the assassination of Lincoln and majorly changed the political stand of the president. Johnson did not have the same way of restoring the country as the radical Republicans did. Andrew Johnson, annoyed by the Republicans' veto-proof majority, resorted to trickery to get his way in the fight over Reconstruction. This led to his impeachment. The House impeached Johnson for high crimes and misdemeanors, and since Republicans held more seats than 2/3 of the majority, Johnson was removed from president. So in today's times, if we elect, let's say, Biden, he's a Democrat, and his vice president is Kamala Harris. So she is a little more Democratic than Biden is, and this is because if we were to, I'm not saying I am or anyone is planning to, but if we were to assassinate Biden and then Kamala Harris would be the new president, her Democratic views are stronger, so they would lean more to the Democratic side, which as a Republican, or if someone was a Republican, I should say, they wouldn't want that. They wouldn't want to kill Biden because he's less of a Democrat. He's kind of in that middle, I guess you could say, and Kamala is far left. So they wouldn't want a bigger Democrat to lead our country, so that it like keeps protection on Biden. Okay, because of the constant swing of power, there was no strong leader to take charge and help rebuild this country. There was always a Republican saying we should build it quicker, or Andrew Johnson saying we should slow down, really think about what we're doing, is slavery all that bad? I don't know, So it's kind of hard to build a country when you have two different opinions on the matter. And my final point is some ex-Confederate soldiers became involved in terrorism designed to end Reconstruction. The most dangerous organization to oppose Reconstruction was the Ku Klux Klan. They originally formed as a social group and evolved into a terrorist organization. They would be responsible for thousands of deaths and would help to weaken the political power of Southern blacks and Republicans. John Greenberg states, Tuskegee University works confirms 3,446 black documented lynchings and another 1,300 lynchings of whites. So that's about 5,000 people killed because of the KKK. This violence helped to intimidate freed slaves and undermine the efforts of the government's Reconstruction program. So without having a unified leader and terrorists in their country were some of the reasons why Reconstruction in America did not go as planned.